Hello, ladies and gentlemen. How are you today? My name's Rob Howden from ekartingnews.com, and welcome to another edition of our face-to-face show here on our YouTube channel. From the get-go, if you're tuning in, do me a favor, hit that like button below and subscribe to the channel. We do appreciate it. We're getting close to 1,000 subscribers, which would be awesome. I'd love to be able to get there by the end of the year. Right in the middle of what is kind of a cool little series of face-to-face shows that we do. A lot of the times, you know, we talk to people in the industry, racers, whatever it may be. This one's racers, but it's focused on something that is really an amazing opportunity. Over the last number of years, Mazda has been a friend of karting. There was a time where they injected some money and supported a number of different organizations through John Doonan, and of course, when he was the head of Mazda Motorsports. This is a new program that David Cole and I were contacted on a number of weeks ago. They've got a program called the Mazda Motorsports Shootout. Now, there's one shootout already for drivers that are in the Mazda program. This one is all about karters coming up. There was a number of nominees that were invited to come to what will be a shootout. The shootout's going to be December the 7th, I think 17th and 18th, next Monday and Tuesday down at Road Atlanta. There will be 10 drivers, so one of which we already talked to before, Connor Zilich. 3 we talked to yesterday, 3 today, and 3 tomorrow as well. And indeed, December 17th, 16th and 17th, the date at Road Atlanta. So these drivers are shooting out for an opportunity for 2 seats to run in the NASA Spec MX category, part of the Teen Challenge. It's going to be essentially a club racing factory program for Mazda. So these drivers getting an opportunity to get in with Mazda and potentially work their way up through the Mazda ranks. Mazda factory driver Jonathan Bomarito, one of the mentors of the program, they're essentially factory drivers. So this is a really great opportunity for some young kart racers to potentially move and add a car program to their kart racing in 2021. Again, we had the show yesterday. We've got the one today, and we got one tomorrow as well. Let's bring in our guests that we have today, though. David Cole, of course, producing the broadcast. 13-year-old Alexander Berg joining me from Canada. I've got 16-year-old Oliver Calvo from Stockton, California, and from down in Wake Forest, North Carolina, 16-year-old Hayden Jones. Guys, thank you so much for joining us. I don't know where Calvo has gone. This is fantastic. Alex Berg, let's start with you. Alex, thank you so much for joining me, buddy. How are you?
Good, and you?
I'm really good. I've been busy. Let's put it that way. How about you? Have you been busy? I know that season's kind of done, but are you staying busy at home?
Yeah, a lot with, well, I just came back from Las Vegas doing the Rock the Rio event.
Yep.
I've been really busy with schoolwork, that's for sure, and catching up and a bunch of other things. And for sure with everything to do with Mazda Motorsports USA and the shootout, that's kept me very busy as well, sending emails. But yeah, I'm pretty good.
Good man. Let's go to Hayden Jones. Hayden, thanks for joining me today, buddy. I appreciate it.
No, thank you.
You ready to rock and roll with this shootout as well?
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's move over to Oliver Calvo. He's got back into the seat. Oliver, thanks for joining us. I know it's a little bit earlier in the day for you, 5 o'clock out in California. You probably just finished school, but I appreciate you joining me. How are things with you out in Cali?
It's going good, Rob. Thanks for asking.
All right, let's get started here. So if those of you who tuned into this show, the reason why we're doing this, all these 10 young drivers are going to be headed to Road Atlanta, as I said, for this shootout. We thought it'd be a great opportunity. Get a chance for them to get known a little bit more. You might be tuning in for the first time. You'll meet these drivers. We're going to talk about how they got started in karting, where that entry point was, how they've done over the last couple of years, what's been really, the highlights of the schedules. Obviously, to get nominated, you've had to win some races, or you've had some pretty solid success, and they've all done that. And then after that, we'll talk to them a little bit about their thoughts on the Mazda Motorsports Shootout program, what it would mean to them to be able to get into the program. You know what? I'm going to start with the guy in the top right corner, youngest driver here, 13 years of age, Alex Berg. I'll set this up because you could talk about your dad, of course, a famous Canadian race car driver, owns his own racing school. But how did you convince your dad to let you go karting? When did you start racing? I think you're muted right now. If you can unmute yourself there, bud.
Sorry.
There you go. Good man. So how'd you get started?
Well, Rob, it was more of a thing how I kind of begged him for all my life until there was a go-kart track open when I was old enough to drive.
Yeah.
There used to be a go-kart track when I was 3 years old or 4 years old. It got shut down in my hometown, Calgary.
Yeah, Race City.
Yeah, Race City Speedway.
Yeah.
Exactly. The kart track was called Varsity Speedway, just like a mile down the road. My dad actually had built a 2-seater go-kart with Joey Guillon and his father, Pierre Guillon. And so I would sit in between his legs, and he'd have little things in the back of his pedals to lift off on each side. But yeah, and then that track got shut down. So pretty much when I found out that there was going to be a new track, North Star Raceway, the same entity, Calgary Kart Racing Club,
Yeah.
I found out that was going to be open. I pretty much just begged him and begged him and begged him. And one Christmas morning when I was 7 or 8 years old, I remember walking downstairs and seeing this this Intrepid go-kart in my living room.
That's awesome.
In my life.
So what were you racing back then? What were you running a Honda at that point? Was it a Briggs? What were you racing back then?
No, it was just still a Briggs Junior one. They didn't have anything else. And we were very against two-stroke racing back then.
Not so much now, right?
Pardon me?
Not so much now.
Yeah, it's kind of shifted the opposite way, how we think the thoughts of, oh, we don't really like four-stroke, and before we used to really like four-stroke.
It's a pretty amazing track too, isn't it? North Star Raceway. They put a lot of money into that place, and it's a really nice facility.
Yeah, it is. It's a really fun track to drive. They've done a few upgrades, but I've just been extremely busy traveling and doing 2-week quarantine since I live in Canada.
I'm right there with you. I just got off quarantine myself. I get it.
Yeah, I haven't even been out there once to drive for a test day.
Wow.
I don't think I haven't been out there just to work on the go-karts when I can.
So let's talk about your career. I know that you've had some success over the last year. Of course, at the start of the season in the Challenge of the Americas, you were able to do really well in the 100cc junior category. Talk about some of the success you've had over the last couple of years.
Well, that's a bit tough for me because I've only started to race in the United States outside of Canada, just starting about probably late 2018, like November. I did Rock the Rio then. Probably my first highlight would be probably finishing third place at the 100cc at Rock the Rio, the 100cc junior category. Finished third place out of, I think, around 30 carts.
Yeah, like big time.
Yeah. And then from that, it was Challenge of the Americas. I won the championship clean sweep through the 2 rounds. And this year, probably my biggest highlight or my biggest achievement would be winning the Rotax Max Challenge Canada Final, which awarded me with a ticket to the Rotax Grand Finals to race for Team Canada.
What do you think about that? That's pretty cool.
I'm really excited for that. I'm so proud, and I can't wait to represent Team Canada.
I bet. That's awesome. Let's move down to Hayden Jones. Hayden, I know you haven't been really racing that long either. Tell me how old you were when you first started, and how did you get into the sport? What was it, a family thing? How did you get into karting?
Well, so my dad and grandpa wanted to be race car drivers, but they never were. So it's kind of followed through me. So now I'm the race car driver. And so I went to Victory Lane because we live in South Charlotte, like Weston. Weston talked about Victory Lane yesterday. And so we went there, did the youth program, excelled pretty fast. And then we went to GoPro. Actually, the way we found GoPro was actually pretty funny because I play soccer. And so there's soccer fields right next to them. And so we heard a little go-kart going around. I think it had to have been a micro or mini.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, that's fast. And so we found GoPro, and then it's just gone from there.
Yeah. So like, how long ago was that? Like, I know you become one of the top drivers, of course, in the senior categories. You know, if you look down to the stuff you've been doing, the race wins, championships, K100 senior, X30 senior, you lead the points at GoPro in both categories. You've only been racing for about 4 years, have you not?
Yeah, it was late 2016. I tested my first kart. It was X30 Junior with the larger headers, so they were the same speed as the senior class.
Wow. Right out of indoor karts into X30 Junior.
Yes.
Man, that's awesome. What? Tell me a little bit about the races you won. What are you most proud of?
I'm probably most proud of the WKA race at GoPro in 2017. It was October 27th. And it was on my sister's birthday. And so I won that one. It was actually pretty dominant. So I pulled away. It was just Josh Green and I. And then he caught me with 3 laps to go, made a move, but then I got him back in the last lap and won it.
So you race with Nitro Kart, right? Talk a little bit about that, because
Yes.
I know that not only do you run for them, and obviously you're one of the lead drivers in the Nitro Kart camp, but when they actually have their summer camps, you're actually an instructor there as well too. Tell me about that, working with some of the younger drivers.
Yeah, so it's definitely a learning curve. You know, instead of teaching yourself, you got to teach others. So you kind of have to dumb things down for the younger kids because they're only 7 and 8, some of them. So they're really young. And so you got to learn how to get the information to them and let it stick in their head.
What about the team itself? I know Nick Tucker's put together a good program there. They're obviously, as you know, extremely well known in the cadet categories, but they've moved into the junior and senior classes too. What does it mean to you to be able to run with Nick and Nitro and be that guy, kind of one of the guys in the senior category?
I mean, it's an honor to be running for Nick and having him as a great team leader. We have Ashley as a really good data coach, and Michael, who's there when Ashley isn't, and all the time. Like, he's just everywhere. He helps a lot around the whole tent. We have Joey, my mechanic. He sets up everything before the race weekend, and really the team wouldn't be able to go without all of them.
Yeah, it seems like you have everybody in the right spot to get that success there. Alex, let's come back to you real quick, because I didn't get a chance to talk about who you've been running with the last couple of years and the last year, because I know you've got a fantastic team there. Give me a little overview on the guy on the team you run with when you're in the U.S. You got to mute yourself again. You guys have yourself muted. Make sure you're unmuted.
Sorry,
Sorry.
for getting that. I run with the Ryan Perry Motorsports team owner. Ryan Perry, he's a very intense guy, and without him, I couldn't be where I am. Neither without my teammate Max Sapolsky. He's been my teammate for 2 years. He's just moved up to senior now, but I wouldn't be where I am in karting or in my life without those two guys. They've helped me so much, just getting better. And I think my first race was Santa Maria, California Pro Kart Challenge, Superkarts USA. In one practice session, I was 5.5 seconds off. I had like a sub 1 minute track, or I think that track sub 50 seconds.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
Super far off. And in just that 2 years progression, I've made it to my second most recent race, GoPro Motorplex United States Pro Kart Challenge. I qualified P2 and P3 out of 36 karts.
Yeah, your development's been pretty strong, bud. It's been fun watching you over the last couple of years get better and better. And of course, the Challenge of the Americas was kind of your breakout. Let's go over to Oliver Calvo. This is a guy that I've talked to you many times in Victory Lane, especially at the Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix. I think you won like 4 straight years in a row. Did you not at Lancaster? I think you're muted as well.
2017, 2018, and 2019.
Man. What is it about Lancaster? Muted? Yeah, I can hear you. What is it about Lancaster? You're so fast there.
I just love barrier tracks, just pushing the go-kart to the limit, just hanging on, barely 1 inch from the wall, just pushing it right to the limits, and just it's really fun. I love barrier tracks.
Let's talk about when you started karting. Where was your entry point?
So it all started with my grandpa. He used to race go-karts in El Salvador a long time ago. And then my dad started racing, and then my oldest sister started racing kid karts. And then when I tried it in the beginning, I didn't like it. I was scared. I thought it was really fast, just the kid karts. And then I kept going and going, and I just fell in love with the sport.
Like all these guys, of course, Alex is about 3 years younger than you guys. He doesn't have quite as much experience in the junior and up into the senior categories. Oliver, when I roll down through, the stuff you've been able to do, podium finisher at the Super Nationals, Pro Kart Challenge, K100 senior champion. I mentioned the 4 times that you've won the Streets of Lancaster Grand Prix. This past year, like Alex, you were a real beast of the Challenge of the Americas. I know we only got 2 of the weekends in as opposed to the 3 we were supposed to with COVID. But, man, you guys had an unbelievably strong opening part of the season. Talk about working with Leading Edge Motorsports and how strong you were at the Challenge of the Americas.
Well, that was like really one of my first few races with Greg Bell under Leading Edge, because my first race with him last year was only Super Nats, the only race I did with him, and that was beautiful. Like, we were top 5 all week, and we were one of the front runners, and just a little bit of driver error just took me out of the win. And then we changed focus into 2020 season, and we just won everything. Like, just straight up dominated both not both classes, but definitely the 100cc senior, and Rock was a little bit more of a challenge with my good friend JQ, always battling with him.
The shoe, that's right. Hey, what about Rock de Rio? I know you just ran Rock de Rio as well. You were definitely in the fight there too.
Yeah, I was in the fight all weekend, 100cc senior. I think I was the guy to beat all week, and then I just messed up on the last lap. Driver error took me out of the win, finished 3rd. And the Rock GP had a lot of problems, and it was super rough racing, really aggressive. Everyone was going at it, and I finished 8th on track from 18th, but a penalty put me 12th, so not too bad.
It happens. What's if you look back at all the successes you've had, which race do you call, I think, maybe your favorite win?
My favorite win probably has to be last year in Streets of Lancaster. That was just a really big win. It was super cool racing seniors against some of the top drivers.
Right? Under the lights. Badass.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. All right, guys, let's refocus now and talk a little about this Mazda Motorsports Shootout. First, of course, you guys got the note that, hey, I'm nominated for this deal, and then you make the cut down to the last 10 as well. You're heading to Road Atlanta next Monday and Tuesday. Alex, we'll start with you. First off, what are your thoughts on going to this shootout?
Well, it's like a once in a lifetime experience for me. I'm on the verge of becoming a race car driver, and I'll work as hard as possible on and off track. My philosophy to life is work as hard as you can and put as much effort as you can in the off track stuff, and try to put like the least amount of effort in the on track stuff. It's all about how you perform off track.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. It's one of the things I've said before, Alex, is that racing's such a fickle business, right? But there's only one thing you can control, and that's how hard you work. And I think that's a great point there as well. What kind of car experience do you have? You're only 13 years of age. Have you did any car racing at all or driving at all? Any lapping days?
No, not car racing itself, but a few Formula car things. My dad owns a Formula car racing school at Laguna Seca. Sometimes when there's a free seat in the programs, he lets me drive them once in a while.
All right.
Like once or twice every summer.
Yep.
I've also did some F1600 testing with Doug Learned Jr. and Senior, Fast Forward Racing Points. They did a trade-in deal one of their last days with their current cars. I got to drive one of their F1600s last year.
Very nice.
Another F1600 that I drove was the one of Michael Duncalf's.
Sure.
Spectrum.
Yeah.
I got selected for a F1600 one day free driver's test. Sorry, car test.
that was part of the Western Canadian Championships, right?
Yeah, that was. They sponsored it.
Very nice. Very nice. What about sim time? Have you been on the sim at all? I know the Spec Miata car is obviously a big one in iRacing. Have you been driving Road Atlanta in iRacing at all?
Oh yeah, a lot in the past few days. Actually, my sim pedal broke the other day, so we had to get a new one made. So,
all right.
Yeah. Apart from that, we've a lot of it.
Well done, man. Well done. Let's move down to Hayden Jones. Hayden, what are your thoughts? This is obviously a fantastic opportunity from Mazda. I know that you've got a karting plan probably in place for 2021, but there's an opportunity here that you could get a chance to do some driving. There's a shot of you right there. A chance to do some racing with Mazda as part of their club racing factory team. What are your thoughts first on getting selected, making it to the final cut, and then heading to the shootout next week?
Well, it was pretty interesting because we had no clue we were being selected, and then out of nowhere, it was this email from you, or I can't remember, you or David. And it was like, well, you're selected to be a part of this Mazda shootout. And it was like, okay, this is one chance that we have to actually try and go for something. And so my dad and I worked really hard on this so far. We're pushing myself like even farther than I normally would just to get into this and do as best as I can, because it's not just if you win it or not, it's developing relationships with Mazda, and they're one of the main car manufacturers. So it's a really big deal.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that, Hayden. I think it's such an opportunity. And I said this yesterday to the guys, and I'll say it to all three of you here as well. Regardless of what happens here, this is an opportunity for you guys to grow, of course, as young men and drivers, but also a chance to make a lot of great connections, man. Everybody that's going to be trackside there, even the guys in the other part of the shootout who own racing teams and driving, it's just a great opportunity to make a lot of connections. Hayden, any expectations on yourself? Have you done any racing yourself in cars at all, or has it just been karting for you?
Oh, well, last weekend I got in a car. It was an old Miata that was not race ready. It just had suspension and tires, and that was it. And I went out on Carolina Motorsports Park, CMP, and just did some laps.
Good for you. That's awesome. That's what about sim racing? Have you been on iRacing as well?
Oh, just a little bit.
Okay.
I don't have a sim myself, so it was kind of hard to get time to go and get into one.
All right, let's move over to Oliver Calvo. Same question for you, Oliver. This is obviously a fantastic deal with Mazda and what they put together, really kind of reaching down into the sport of karting. And I think letting people realize there are great drivers down there, kind of proving how much talent we have in the karting community right now. What are your thoughts on the program? Do you remember when you found out that you were nominated, and what do you think about going to the shootout?
Well, I remember when I found out when I was nominated. I think it was David who originally messaged me about it, saying it was an unknown like manufacturer reaching out to karters for grassroots scholarship. At first, I figured it was Mazda because I've heard of something around it before.
Okay.
Like I think I've heard another karting drivers make it through that scenario, and then I was kind of excited when I realized I was actually in it. And then I saw that there's 18, you had to make it to the next round. I was like, okay, I really need to switch my focus to this and make sure I make it through because this is once of lifetime opportunity.
No kidding. All right, so you head to Road Atlanta. I don't think probably any of you guys have been at Road Atlanta. There's a shot right there of Oliver in his Leading Edge Motorsports Praga. Oliver, seat time wise, have you driven a car at all? I'm asking the same questions. Have you driven a car? Have you been in the simulator with iRacing? What have you been doing to prep?
For prep, I've just been kind of watching videos of Road Atlanta. I actually don't own a sim, or I've never driven any type of car. Just only like on the streets, not like race cars.
And I said this yesterday. Here's the cool thing about Mazda. I've been involved in a lot of these shootouts before. It's all about your progression, right? It's not who's the fastest guy or not. It's how you progress. If you've never driven a car, they're going to take that into consideration. If you have thousands of laps, they're going to take that into consideration. So they've done this before, and there's lots of fantastic people that will be on the judging crew. And, of course, Jonathan Bomarito, the chance to work with him as well, a former karter out of California too. Oliver, any expectations for yourself, or are you just kind of going to go there with an open mind?
I'm kind of just going to go there with an open mind and just meet as many people as I can and form as many relationships. And I'm just super excited to even get this opportunity to drive a car. All
right, let's wrap things up. We'll stay with you, Oliver. We'll go back the other way. Obviously, you want to add this this racing program if you get a seat to run in the NASA Spec MX class. What else are you going to do? Are you planning on some karting for next year? What's your plan for 2021 now that we've essentially wrapped up 2020?
Well, the plan is, as of right now, if I make it into the Mazda thing, I'd definitely do that. But I for sure don't want to just like ditch Greg. And I kind of want to keep racing go-karts. The plan for next year is just to go to Florida, at least for the Florida Winter Tour.
Yep.
Run all that stuff with ANSA under ANSA Motorsports. We're going to be working together with them all winter, so that should be fun.
Awesome. What about you, Hayden? What are the plans? Let's say you win. You have that car program. What do you pair it with in karting? What are you guys planning on doing in 2021?
Well, we were going to do SCUSA and USPKS next year, hands down. So I'm pretty sure those are still in the books for us.
Nice. I like it. Alex, what about you? You've got the Rotax Grand Finals coming as part of Team Canada. We know that's going to happen. What else do you think you'll be doing karting-wise next year?
Well, my father and I are sort of planning to see if we can fit into our schedule a few rounds of Florida Winter Tour or some of the winter races in Florida. Rotax, as you said already, we're going to want to do the United States Pro Kart Series. We find that we've found a lot of success in that, a lot of fun, really worth the money that we're spending to go there. A little bit of SCUSA Pro Tour, maybe some SCUSA Pro Kart Challenge, California, depending on how many entries there is and we can fit it in. But yeah, hopefully I can get the Mazda Shootout.
Go car racing. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate it. Alex, thank you so much. Hayden, thank you. Oliver, thank you. Nicely done, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, we appreciate it. We'll let them drop to the tail. 3 more drivers. Fantastic. David Cole, I'll tell you, this is going to be tough. I wouldn't want to be the guy, the people having to make this decision. We got 3 more to talk to tomorrow. Connor Zilch, we already have. We had the guys yesterday as well. Man, I'll tell you, this is there's some talented drivers in North America. And this is just a little group of 10.
Yeah, as we said yesterday's show, there's many, many more that we could have selected or Mazda could have selected. Again, that's the reason why they have 10. They wanted less at the shootout, but because of the quality of drivers that karting is presenting, they went to 10. So says a lot. It's going to be interesting, as you know, as you said, a lot of these 3 don't have any car experience and very little sim experience as well too. So it'll be interesting to see how everything shakes out. But obviously the competence of the driving abilities of these 3, along with the 3 that we talked to yesterday, it's going to make things very interesting for
agreed. 100%. It's Monday, Tuesday at Road Atlanta, November the 16th and 17th. They're vying for one of 2 seats in the team. They're going to compete in the Spec MX-5 Cup program as part of the Teen Mazda Challenge. That's the National Autosport Association with NASA. Again, Mazda's first factory club racing team. amazing stuff and great opportunity for these drivers for sure. David, who we got tomorrow? Alex Bertignoli, Evan Stammer, and Alex Stanfield. A couple of Alexes and a Stammer in there as well. So 3 talented drivers as well, all championship winners, race winners. We got some three more talented drivers to talk to.
Yeah, this group, we had a different age, kind of almost age bracket. I mean, there's like a little bit of difference here and there. Tomorrow's going to be the same thing. Alex Bertignoli and Evan Stammer are a little bit older, and then you throw in Alex Stanfield, who's one of the top junior drivers right now in the country.
Yeah, it's awesome. Folks, we do appreciate you joining us here. Again, just a different little series here, talking about this Mazda Motorsports program. When they contacted us, we, of course, were honored to get a chance to give a bunch of names for what they were looking for. They were looking for specific demographics, some drivers focused potentially on sports car racing. We had a chance to work with some great people. We just wanted to make sure that these drivers are going to get acknowledged here on our face-to-face program as well. We've had 2 great interviews so far. Started it off last week with a fantastic one-on-one face-to-face with Connor Zilic before the FIA World Championships. We got 3 more tomorrow. Hopefully join us again, 5:00 p.m. Eastern for tomorrow's interview. That will cap things off. We do thank you so much for joining us here on the EKN YouTube channel. Do us a favor, subscribe, hit the like button. Thank you very much. Trying to grow this channel, folks. Got a lot more content coming throughout the off season. That's David Cole. I'm Rob Howden. Book it.